What if I told you that unmanaged guest access in Microsoft Teams could expose your organization to catastrophic security risks? Lack of control over your team's environment isn't just messy, it's dangerous. But here's the good news. You can take back control. By creating a Power BI governance dashboard, you'll not only secure your data but also boost productivity. Ready to find out how? Why Teams governance matters more than you think. Did you know that unmanaged guest access in Microsoft Teams can lead to compliance violations costing organizations millions of dollars? This alarming reality isn't just hypothetical. It's a growing concern for businesses worldwide. Every organization using Microsoft Teams for collaboration runs the risk of regulatory penalties, data breaches, and inefficiencies without a solid governance framework in place. So, what exactly is governance in the context of Microsoft Teams? Governance refers to the systems, policies, and controls that ensure Teams is used in a way that aligns with your organization's security, compliance, and productivity goals. It's the structure that keeps everything in order, from user permissions to data sharing and team lifecycle management. Without it, Teams can quickly spiral out of control, causing a range of issues that amplify over time. First, let's talk about the risks. Imagine this. Employees across your organization start creating teams without structure or oversight. They add external vendors as guests without restrictions, use Teams chats to discuss sensitive topics, and upload confidential documents without proper classification. Before you know it, the environment is full of inactive or ownerless teams, sensitive data is spread across multiple locations, and no one knows who has access to what. This phenomenon, known as team sprawl, creates an unwieldy ecosystem that becomes increasingly difficult to manage. Team sprawl alone can cause major inefficiencies. Employees waste time searching for relevant information or accidentally recreate teams that already exist. Over time, the disorganization causes frustration and reduces productivity. But inconvenience isn't the only cost of poor governance. There are also serious security and compliance risks. For example, unmanaged guest access allows external parties to access documents and conversations without secure controls in place. According to a study from Hochschule der Medien Stuttgart, nearly half of Teams users admit to creating groups without following any defined rules. This lack of structure heightens the chances of data leaks and non-compliance with standards like GDPR or HIPAA. Compliance penalties can be harsh. If sensitive customer data is leaked because of improper governance, organizations could face millions of dollars in fines, legal fees, and reputation damage. Additionally, failing to meet privacy and security requirements can result in lawsuits or the suspension of operations in certain regions. A single violation, even one caused by something as seemingly minor as an unprotected document upload, can spiral into a crisis. The impact of poor governance isn't limited to compliance violations. Data integrity and security also take a massive hit when there's no control over team creation and data sharing. For instance, sensitive internal data protected under enterprise data policies might inadvertently be exposed to unauthorized parties through inadequate sharing practices. Whether through external queries, poor data management, or user error, the risks compound quickly without clear guidelines in place. A lack of consistent oversight creates vulnerabilities that malicious actors can exploit, leading to even more severe data breaches. Another critical issue is lifecycle management. Without proper monitoring, many Teams environments are overrun by inactive or abandoned groups. This situation mimics what happened in the early days of SharePoint, when unregulated growth created a cluttered and unmanageable ecosystem. A lack of structured monitoring burdens IT departments with the task of cleaning up and maintaining a fragmented network. As noted in the Hochschule der Medien Stuttgart study, IT teams often become overwhelmed because they lack the tools to streamline team creation, maintenance, and retirement. When IT teams spend too much time on manual tasks like identifying redundant groups or archiving inactive teams, the organization ends up allocating resources inefficiently. The pandemic further exacerbated these governance problems. When Microsoft Teams was rapidly deployed by organizations worldwide to accommodate remote work, many overlooked governance in favor of speed. As a result, teams were organized inconsistently, making it harder for users to find resources or align their collaboration efforts. This inconsistency causes delays, duplicate work, and an overall loss of time and effectiveness. Employees who struggle to locate important information or navigate disordered environments become frustrated, and their productivity suffers. The good news is that these risks are preventable. A well-defined governance strategy serves as both a safeguard and an enabler. By formalizing your organization's approach to using teams, you ensure that users can collaborate effectively without compromising security or compliance. Governance involves clear guidelines and policies for creating and managing teams, sharing data, and controlling guest access. By balancing control and self-service capabilities, the right strategy allows employees to focus on their tasks, while IT holds the reins on security and structure. Proper governance doesn't just prevent problems when implemented correctly, it also drives efficiency. Take lifecycle management as an example. By putting expiration policies in place, teams can be automatically archived or deleted after a certain period of inactivity. This straightforward measure prevents clutter from building up and ensures the workspace remains streamlined. Additionally, regular monitoring of team activity identifies redundant or inactive groups early, saving time and minimizing frustration. Removing abandoned teams reduces confusion and builds a more productive environment where everyone can easily find relevant conversations and documents. Another key component is data classification. By applying sensitivity labels and data loss prevention (DLP) policies, you can ensure that sensitive information is protected at all times. For instance, a confidential document can be set to restrict external sharing or prevent downloads by unauthorized users. These controls help mitigate risks even when teams are used across multiple devices and locations. This layered approach to data security minimizes exposure and keeps compliance risks low. The benefits of governance extend beyond IT policies. A unified strategy fosters transparency and collaboration while creating a secure environment that employees trust. When policies are clearly communicated and implemented consistently, the organization functions more efficiently. Users spend less time searching for information, duplication is avoided, and cross-department collaboration becomes seamless. These operational improvements enhance the bottom line while reducing the potential for compliance failures and security breaches. Let's also consider the balance between control and usability. Some organizations worry that enforcing strict governance will stifle creativity or overwhelm users with rules. However, modern tools make it possible to enforce structure without being intrusive. For example, automated workflows can streamline processes like team approvals or guest access requests. Users are notified of clear steps to follow, while IT maintains control over the environment. This balance makes governance felt, not seen, by the average employee, meaning it supports productivity without adding unnecessary friction. The challenges that arise without strong teams governance are clear, but so are the solutions. Imagine a system where every team has a clearly defined purpose, where inactive groups are automatically handled, and where sensitive data remains secure. This can be achieved with a combination of smart policies and the right tools. A Power BI governance dashboard is one solution that can help simplify this process. By visualizing the health and usage of your team's environment in one place, you can track key metrics, identify risks, and ensure compliance, all in real time. A Power BI dashboard provides transparency by centralizing data, allowing you to monitor trends like team activity, guest access, and data classification. It gives IT administrators actionable insights to address issues proactively. Instead of manually combing through logs or guessing where problems lie, a dashboard presents everything in a clean and actionable format. Whether you're flagging redundant teams, tracking external sharing activity, or monitoring compliance with DLP policies, it's a powerful way to stay ahead of potential risks. This makes the next step all the more exciting, understanding the tools that make this possible. In the next section, we'll look at the essential ingredients of a governance dashboard, tools like Microsoft Graph API, Power BI, and SharePoint. These tools work together to not only simplify governance, but also make the entire process more approachable for professionals of all technical backgrounds. With these tools, organizations can establish a foundation of control that scales alongside them as they grow. By taking control of teams' governance through a combination of policies and tools, you reduce risks and enhance productivity in one move. The importance of strong governance cannot be overstated. From preventing costly compliance violations to improving operational efficiency, the value it brings to your team's environment has far-reaching impacts for your organization. A dashboard doesn't just monitor, it transforms the way you manage collaboration, fostering a culture of accountability and trust. Ready to see how these tools work? Let's dive into the essential components you'll need to get started. The essential tools you need to build your dashboard. What if I told you that you already have access to powerful tools that can help you master Microsoft Teams governance? These tools are already built into the Microsoft ecosystem, and they work seamlessly to make managing your Teams environment more efficient and secure. Today, we'll be focusing on 3 essential tools: Microsoft Graph API, PowerBI, and SharePoint. Each one plays a unique role in building a governance dashboard that helps you stay in control and avoid costly mistakes. Let's start with Microsoft Graph API. This is the foundation of your governance dashboard because it provides access to all the data and functionality within your Microsoft 365 environment, including Microsoft Teams. Think of it as a gateway. Microsoft Graph API allows you to connect directly to Teams data, retrieve essential insights, and even make changes programmatically. For example, you can use it to pull data about team ownership, guest access, or message activity in a given channel. This is critical for building a governance dashboard because it ensures your data is always up to date and directly tied to your team's environment. Furthermore, the API's RESTful architecture ensures compatibility with multiple programming languages, so whether you're using Python, JavaScript, or something else, the API can integrate smoothly into your workflows. The capabilities of Microsoft Graph API go even further. It allows you to automate tasks that would typically require manual oversight. For instance, suppose you want to monitor guest activity across all your teams. Instead of clicking through multiple interfaces, you can set up an automated query via the Graph API to regularly pull this data and flag irregularities. This is essential for organizations concerned about compliance, as it helps you stay ahead of potential risks without spending hours on manual data collection. Another practical use case is automating the cleanup of abandoned teams. By using pre-configured queries, you can identify inactive teams and either archive or delete them, ensuring your environment doesn't become cluttered over time. This approach reduces the workload for IT teams and helps maintain a clean, organized workspace. Now, let's talk about Power BI. Once you've gathered your data through the Graph API, Power BI steps in to bring that data to life. Unlike raw spreadsheets or lists, which can be overwhelming and hard to interpret, Power BI allows you to create meaningful visualizations. This could be anything from a bar chart showing the number of active teams over time to KPI cards that display compliance metrics. Visualizing data in this way makes it easier to identify trends and monitor governance metrics at a glance. For example, you might set up a chart that shows which teams have the highest external sharing activity. With this information, you can quickly determine whether your policies are being followed or if adjustments need to be made. Beyond simple visuals, Power BI also enables advanced interactivity. Features like drill downs and slices let you explore your data in greater depth. Instead of looking at every team in your organization, you can filter to see only those associated with a particular department or team owner. This level of detail is crucial for uncovering issues that might otherwise go unnoticed. For instance, let's say your organization has strict rules about external sharing in finance-related teams. A dashboard in Power BI could help you isolate finance teams and monitor guest access activity specifically for these groups. By tailoring your visuals to your organization's needs, Power BI ensures your governance efforts are targeted and effective. An additional advantage of Power BI is its ability to integrate with other elements of the Microsoft ecosystem. Since it's natively compatible with tools like Teams and SharePoint, you can create dashboards that pull in data from multiple sources without requiring complex workarounds. For example, if you're managing a compliance project, you might connect Power BI to both Teams data via Graph API and documents stored in SharePoint. This way, you can monitor in real time how rules are being followed, not just on the level of user activity, but also in terms of sensitive document sharing. With this kind of comprehensive view, decision makers have the insights they need to act quickly and confidently. Speaking of SharePoint, this tool rounds out the trio by serving as a centralized repository for governance-related data. While Microsoft Graph API focuses on data access and Power BI is used for visualization, SharePoint plays the critical role of organizing and managing this data. It ensures that the information feeding into your dashboard is accurate, current, and accessible. For example, if you're tracking lifecycle management, SharePoint can be used to store records of which teams were created when, who owns them, and their last active date. This information integrates seamlessly with the dashboard, giving you a powerful way to stay on top of Team Sprawl. SharePoint also supports document management, which is an essential aspect of Teams governance. Let's say your organization has policies about how sensitive documents should be shared. By using SharePoint, you can apply permissions and classifications that carry over into your Teams environment. For example, a SharePoint library containing confidential reports can be synced to a designated team, where only authorized users have access. This integration prevents accidental data exposure while supporting collaboration. Additionally, because SharePoint and PowerBI share native compatibility, you can use real-time data from SharePoint libraries to populate metrics in your dashboard. This ensures that your visualizations reflect the most current state of your Microsoft 365 environment. While each of these tools, Microsoft Graph API, PowerBI, and SharePoint, offers impressive capabilities on its own, their true power lies in integration. Together, they allow you to create a comprehensive governance dashboard that addresses the unique needs of your organization. The API connects you to the data, Power BI gives you the ability to interpret it, and SharePoint ensures that it's organized and well managed. This holistic approach makes it easier than ever to gain insights and take action to ensure compliance, security, and efficiency. However, integrating these tools can feel daunting at first. Each one has its own set of capabilities and requires a degree of technical knowledge to master. For example, setting up data connections via Graph API involves understanding endpoints and authentication methods, while Power BI has its own learning curve when it comes to building interactive dashboards. Similarly, configuring SharePoint to align with your governance objectives requires careful planning around permissions and folder structures. The steep learning curve can be intimidating for those unfamiliar with these tools, but it's important to remember that help is available. There are countless tutorials, documentation, and community forums that provide step-by-step guidance for beginners and advanced users alike. Moreover, you don't need to master every detail of these tools to see results. Many organizations start small by focusing on one or two key areas of governance. For instance, you might begin by using Power BI to track guest access and sharing activity, then expand to other metrics like inactive teams or compliance violations. Similarly, you can use Graph API for just one automation task, like monitoring team creation patterns, before exploring its broader capabilities. By taking an incremental approach, you can build your skills over time, while still making meaningful progress toward solving governance challenges. What makes this journey even more exciting is that with the right guidance, anyone can learn to use these tools effectively. They're designed to be both powerful and accessible, meaning professionals across different fields, from IT to compliance to operations, can gain value from them. For example, many of the advanced capabilities in Power BI, such as drag and drop, visualizations, and pre-built templates, require no coding experience at all. Similarly, Microsoft Graph API's documentation includes beginner-friendly resources and examples. So even if you've never worked with APIs before, you'll be able to get started. The key is to focus on the basics first, build confidence, and gradually explore more complex features as your skills grow. The bottom line, these tools simplify governance in ways that wouldn't be possible with manual processes alone. By automating data collection with Graph API, visualizing it in Power BI, and organizing it in SharePoint, you streamline the entire governance lifecycle. This means less time spent performing repetitive tasks and more time focusing on proactive strategies to improve your team's environment, whether it's reducing team sprawl, ensuring compliance, or maintaining a productive workspace. These tools provide everything you need to succeed. As we move forward, there's one more critical piece of the puzzle to discuss: access. The tools only work if you have the right licenses and permissions in place. In the next section, we'll break down exactly what's needed to unlock their full potential and ensure a smooth start to building your governance dashboard. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, this step is essential for setting yourself up for success. Unlocking access. Licenses and permissions. Explained. Did you know that lacking the right permissions could completely derail your attempts to build a governance dashboard before you even get started? It might seem like a small detail, but the truth is access plays a huge role in whether or not your dashboard will function as intended. Without the right licenses and permissions, all the powerful tools we've talked about, Microsoft Graph API, Power BI, and SharePoint, won't work as expected, leaving you frustrated and your project at a standstill. Let's start with licenses. For Power BI, you'll need either a Pro or Premium license to unlock the features that allow dashboard sharing and external data integrations. A free Power BI license simply won't work for this purpose. With a Pro license, you can securely share your governance dashboard with others in your organization, ensuring that team leads and IT administrators can access the metrics they need. A Premium license, on the other hand, provides additional capacity and functionality suited for larger organizations, such as advanced AI-powered analytics and paginated reporting. Both Pro and Premium licenses also allow you to connect to multiple data sources, including the Microsoft Graph API, which is essential for pulling real-time metrics on Microsoft Teams governance. But licenses are only part of the equation. Permissions play an equally significant role, and this is where things can get a bit tricky. Microsoft Graph API requires administrative-level permissions to access Teams data, such as team activity, guest access monitoring, and compliance settings. Without these permissions, the API won't return the insights you need to populate your governance dashboard. The same is true of SharePoint. Without the proper permissions, you won't be able to access document libraries or metadata that are critical for tracking things like data classification or sensitivity labels. These permissions are tied to roles in your organization, such as Global Administrator or Teams Administrator, which means that if you don't already have these roles assigned, you'll need to work closely with your IT department to obtain access. Navigating these requirements can feel overwhelming at first. Each tool, Power BI, Microsoft Graph API, and SharePoint, has its own licensing structure and permissions framework, and the specifics depend on how your organization has configured its Microsoft 365 environment. Many people find it confusing to figure out exactly what they need and where to access it. For instance, you might have a Power BI Pro license, but discover midway through the project that your account doesn't have the necessary permissions to query Microsoft Graph API. Or you might be able to access SharePoint but realize your role doesn't grant you the ability to view certain critical libraries. This confusion is common, but it's also avoidable. The best approach is to collaborate with your IT administrators early in the process. These are the individuals who oversee your organization's Microsoft 365 environment and have the authority to assign roles, set permissions, and verify license allocations. Start by explaining your project and detailing the specific tools and data sources you'll need to access. If you're unsure of how to frame the conversation, focus on the outcomes. Describe how the governance dashboard will enhance security, improve compliance, and reduce the management workload. This will help your IT team understand the importance of granting you the proper access. Once you've outlined your goals and requested the necessary permissions, work with your IT team to verify them. For Power BI, confirm that your account is assigned a Pro or Premium license and that the license is active. For Microsoft Graph API, confirm that you have the appropriate API permissions configured. These permissions vary depending on the data you need. Reading Teams membership data, for example, requires the Team Read Basic All permission, while accessing message insights might require additional scope levels such as Mail Read. Similarly, in SharePoint, make sure you have the ability to view, edit, or manage the document libraries that are tied to governance policies in Teams. Double-checking these details upfront will save time later on and prevent unnecessary delays. In addition to verifying your own permissions, it's also important to address how your dashboard will be accessed and used by others. The beauty of a governance dashboard is its ability to provide actionable insights to different stakeholders, from executive leadership to IT administrators. However, these stakeholders will need the appropriate permissions to view the data and take action based on it. This is where role-based access controls come into play. Power BI supports assigning roles that dictate who can view, share, or edit a given dashboard. For example, you might assign team owners a viewer role, allowing them to monitor metrics like guest access without being able to modify the dashboard itself. IT administrators, on the other hand, might have an administrator role that allows them to customize visuals or create new filters. Setting up role-based access controls not only ensures security, but also streamlines collaboration within your team. For instance, by restricting sensitive metrics such as compliance violation rates to authorized personnel only, you reduce the risk of exposing confidential information to unintended audiences. Similarly, in SharePoint, sensitivity label policies can help you maintain control over data access. For example, configuring a public label might make a library visible to everyone in your organization, while a highly confidential label restricts it to a specific department, such as legal or HR. These label policies carry over into Teams, meaning that the permissions you set on the SharePoint backend will automatically extend to any Teams channels or dashboards that integrate with that data. Now, let's address some of the common challenges that arise when trying to navigate licenses and permissions. One recurring issue involves API authentication. Microsoft Graph API requires an access token, which is obtained via an OAuth-based authentication process. However, if your organization has implemented strict conditional access policies, such as requiring multi-factor authentication, MFA, the process of obtaining tokens can become complicated. To resolve this, you may need to configure app registrations in Azure AD, specify token scopes, or create service principals that bypass user interaction for automated workflows. Another frequent obstacle arises from outdated licensing agreements. For example, if your organization uses PowerBI but hasn't upgraded to Pro or Premium licenses, you may find that your dashboards are limited to personal use and cannot be shared with others. Upgrading the license ensures that dashboards can be distributed across your team, facilitating collaboration on governance issues. Similarly, a lack of clarity around SharePoint site permissions can cause access issues, particularly if document libraries are stored in private sites with restricted membership. Collaborate with site owners to confirm that your account is included in the correct membership group and that you have read-write access to the data you need. It's also worth noting that poorly configured sensitivity labels can prevent you from moving forward with your Power BI dashboard. For instance, you might discover that the labels applied in Teams restrict integration with external APIs or prevent certain libraries from syncing with Power BI. Avoid this by ensuring that sensitivity labels are reviewed, published, and tested in Microsoft Purview before they're implemented. This ensures that when you integrate labeled data into your dashboard, it remains accessible while still adhering to compliance regulations. Getting licenses and permissions right not only ensures your tools function properly, but also sets the stage for a smooth data preparation process. With access in place, you'll be able to query Microsoft Graph API confidently, connect Power BI to live data sources, and retrieve files from SharePoint without interruptions. A permission-related misstep can cause delays and create unnecessary frustration down the line. By collaborating closely with IT admins, verifying permissions, and addressing common challenges, you'll avoid these pitfalls and begin your project on the right foot. One way to ensure you have the full picture is to create a checklist of everything you need before starting. Include your Power BI license type, a list of API permissions, a summary of SharePoint access requirements, and the roles you want to assign to dashboard users. Keep this checklist updated as permissions evolve and revisit it regularly with your IT team to confirm that everything remains in place. Ultimately, understanding and addressing access requirements is the foundation for building a successful Teams governance dashboard. The tools themselves are powerful, but they rely on access to function effectively. Whether it's ensuring you have the correct Power BI license, configuring app permissions for Microsoft Graph API, or setting up sensitivity labels in SharePoint, these preliminary steps are essential for enabling smooth operations later in the process. Without them, even the smartest governance strategies can fail to take off. Now that you've addressed access and permissions, the next step is preparing your data. Access is only one piece of the puzzle. Ensuring that your data is clean, accurate, and ready for analysis is just as crucial. In the next section, we'll explore how to organize and refine your data to create a foundation for powerful visualizations and actionable insights. Stay tuned as we take this important step toward unlocking the true potential of your team's governance effort. The secret to clean and reliable data. What's the point of a dashboard if the data behind it is messy and unreliable? Clean and accurate data is the foundation of a successful governance dashboard. Without reliable data, the insights you derive can be misleading, ineffective, and even harmful, especially when managing something as critical as Microsoft Teams governance. In this section, I want to walk you through the process of preparing your data, step by step, so that your dashboard becomes a trusted tool for insights and decision-making. Data preparation starts with gathering everything you need, often from multiple sources. For a team's governance dashboard, this typically includes data from Microsoft Graph API and SharePoint. The goal of this step isn't just to get some data, it's to ensure you're pulling all the required information to paint a complete picture of your team's environment. This might include data on team ownership, member activity, external file sharing, and team lifecycle details. Skipped steps in this stage often lead to incomplete insights later. For instance, if you neglect to include data on guest users, your dashboard won't reflect the true extent of external access across your teams. Take the time to identify everything your governance strategy needs to monitor and ensure those data points are accessible. Once your data has been collected, the next step is cleansing it to remove errors and inconsistencies. This is where you handle issues like duplicate entries, missing values, or formatting errors. Without addressing these problems, your dashboard risks generating flawed insights. For example, duplicated team activity data can inflate metrics, making some teams appear far more active than they actually are. Similarly, if member details are missing, it becomes impossible to track accurate activity or ownership records. A good way to streamline cleansing is by using tools like PowerAutomate, which can identify duplicates or missing values and flag them for correction. Automated systems reduce human error and ensure that repetitive tasks don't consume unnecessary time. The next stage is transformation, which involves converting the raw data into a structured format suitable for visualization in Power BI. Let's say your data sources use varying date formats. Some might show dates as YYY, MM, DD, while others default to DD, MM, YYY. For accurate trend analysis in Power BI, you'll need to standardize these formats. Similarly, teams with complex names like Finance Team North America may need to be simplified into easily understandable categories such as Finance Team. This step prepares your data for consistent interpretation and ensures compatibility across different systems and tools. After transformation comes enrichment. At this stage, you enhance your data by adding more context or detail. Sometimes the data you've collected doesn't tell the full story on its own. For example, data from Microsoft Graph API might reveal the activity level of teams, but won't indicate the department those teams belong to. By enriching this dataset with department details from an internal database, for example, you unlock deeper insights into how specific departments are using Teams. This level of detail is invaluable for governance. It allows you to pinpoint areas where activity is unusually high or low and focus your efforts accordingly. Finally, we reach validation, the step that ensures your data is ready for analysis. During validation, you verify that your data meets quality and accuracy standards. This includes identifying anomalies, double-checking totals, and testing whether the transformed and enriched data accurately reflects the real-world state of your team's environment. For instance, you might validate team membership data by ensuring only active members are counted in activity metrics. Without this step, outdated or incorrect data could lead to skewed results, giving a false picture of your team's governance. Common data issues often emerge during this 5-step process. Issues that, if not addressed, can derail your dashboard's effectiveness. Duplicate entries are a frequent problem, especially when data from multiple sources is integrated. Duplicates cause inflated totals, which can lead to overestimating team activity or misjudging the frequency of guest access. Missing entries are another common challenge. For example, if a team lacks an assigned owner in your dataset, it becomes difficult to enforce accountability or monitor activity for that team. Similarly, incomplete timestamps in activity logs can make it impossible to perform accurate trend analysis. To address these challenges, automation proves to be your best ally. Tools like PowerAutomate can be configured to run scripts that check for missing data, identify duplicate entries, and correct formatting inconsistencies. For example, you could create a flow in PowerAutomate that automatically flags teams with missing owners. Another common automation might involve standardizing date formats across the board or ensuring team names match a predefined naming convention. These small cleanup processes, when automated, not only save you time, but also ensure consistent and dependable data. Speaking of automation, it's not just about cleaning data, it's also about maintaining that cleanliness over time. One-time fixes are helpful, but if data inconsistencies continue to creep in as new teams are created or policies are altered, the dashboard will eventually become unreliable again. By automating data preparation processes, you prevent this from happening. For instance, you can automate real-time checks to ensure that all teams adhere to naming conventions or that sensitive activity data is flagged under appropriate categories. Cleaner data doesn't just make the dashboard look better, it fundamentally transforms the quality of your insights and, by extension, your ability to govern your team's environment effectively. Imagine a dashboard that highlights inactive teams. If your data is full of duplicates or outdated team IDs, how can you trust its recommendations? On the other hand, if your data has been thoroughly prepared, your dashboard becomes an invaluable tool. With clean data, you'll not only identify inactive teams, but also uncover trends, such as how specific departments are balancing collaboration while managing security risks. Clean data removes guesswork and provides actionable insights you can rely on. Clean data also prevents governance failures. Consider data validation outcomes, such as confirming that only active members are included in team activity metrics. Without validating this, your dashboard might mistakenly include former employees in usage reports, creating the illusion of compliance or productivity when, in reality, gaps need addressing. Proper data preparation avoids these pitfalls, providing your organization with accurate, trustworthy information that supports strong governance policies. Once you've prepared your data, the next exciting step is feeding it into Power BI. Data preparation ensures that the visualizations and insights in your dashboard are built on a rock-solid foundation. Any weaknesses in the data preparation process, missing values, unvalidated results, or duplicates, will carry over into Power BI and reduce the value of your dashboard. On the flip side, a well-prepared data set not only guarantees accurate insights, but also enables you to unlock Power BI's full potential. In the next section, we'll walk through the process of connecting your prepared data to Power BI. We'll look at how to set up data connections using Microsoft Graph API and ensure the data you've worked to clean flows seamlessly into your governance dashboard. This is where your effort in data preparation pays off. Your Power BI dashboard will reflect clean, reliable metrics that you can confidently use to manage and govern your team's environment. Let's keep moving forward to connecting Teams data to Power BI. Imagine having all your Microsoft Teams governance metrics in one centralized place, updated in real time. That's the promise of connecting Teams data to Power BI, and it's an essential step in building a governance dashboard that helps you stay ahead of potential risks like non-compliance, team sprawl, and external data leaks. This section will guide you through the process of connecting your team's data to Power BI using Microsoft Graph API, explaining the steps, the challenges you may encounter, and how to prepare for them effectively. The starting point for accessing Microsoft Teams data is Microsoft Graph API, which acts as the primary gateway to all Microsoft 365 services, including Teams. At its core, Graph API is designed to offer a unified endpoint, graph@microsoft.com, for retrieving, managing, and interacting with data across your Microsoft ecosystem. Through this API, you can query data on Teams membership, activity patterns, team lifecycle details, guest access stats, and other key governance metrics. The benefit of using the Microsoft Graph API is that it keeps your data flow efficient and consistent. Everything you need is accessible from a single source. This capability is particularly valuable when your organization's goal is to build a governance dashboard that reflects the state of your team's environment in real time. To get started, you'll need to set up and configure access to Microsoft Graph API. This process requires API permissions, which need to be pre-approved by your IT admin team. Permissions vary depending on the type of data you're working with. For example, if you're tracking team creation and deletion, specific API scopes like Group Read All and Directory Read All are required. If your focus is on conversations or guest member monitoring, you might need additional permissions such as Team Read Basic All. Once these necessary API scopes are assigned, authentication follows. The Microsoft Graph API uses OAuth 2.0 for authentication, meaning you will need to generate an access token to establish connectivity. Authentication can be a tricky process, especially if your organization enforces advanced security measures like conditional access or multi-factor authentication, MFA. These measures enhance security, but sometimes pose challenges such as token expiration or misconfigured app permissions. A simple solution before fully integrating your API queries into Power BI is using tools like Microsoft Graph Explorer. This allows you to test your queries and validate permissions in a sandbox environment. For example, if you're querying Teams data, like guest access insights, you can use Explorer to confirm that your access token is functional and pulling data that matches your expectations. Doing this reduces time wasted troubleshooting in Power BI later. Once your API connection is ready and permissions are in place, the next step is to create a data connection in Power BI. Open Power BI Desktop and choose the Get Data option. From the list of available connectors, select the Web option. This is where you'll input the API endpoint URL for the data you wish to retrieve. For instance, if you want to pull data specifically about Teams activity, you'll include the respective Graph API endpoint in this field. Make sure the endpoint includes query parameters that filter out unnecessary information. Clean queries at this stage simplify subsequent steps. After inputting your URL, Power BI prompts you to authenticate the connection. Authentication involves entering valid credentials or using the access token generated earlier through OAuth. Ensuring that you use the correct token tied to your API permissions is key. If there are any mishaps, such as invalid scopes or expired tokens, Power BI will return an error. To prevent issues, double-check your API queries and ensure they align with your permissions. A common problem here is attempting to access datasets without the required admin approvals. To avoid this, always collaborate with your IT admin team in advance. Successfully authenticating your connection lets you load the data into Power BI. Initially, raw data retrieved from Graph API may not be well structured. It might include redundant columns, unformatted timestamps, or large datasets with irrelevant information. To address this, Power BI includes Power Query, a powerful tool for transforming and cleaning your data before visualization. In Power Query, you can remove unnecessary columns, rename fields for clarity, and filter datasets. For example, if you're tracking team activity, you may want to exclude inactive teams or clean up usernames to standardize the formatting. Small adjustments like this ensure that your dataset is easy to interpret and ready for analysis. While in Power Query, you can also apply advanced transformations to tailor the data for governance insights. Suppose you're analyzing guest activity in Teams. You can group data by guest users, calculate the frequency of their interactions, and filter to display only activity from the last 6 months. Similarly, if you're tracking lifecycle details, you can use calculated columns that categorize teams by their age, e.g., new teams on active teams or inactive teams, although this preparation step streamlines your data and makes subsequent visualizations in Power BI more meaningful. Some challenges may arise during this step, particularly API connection errors or slow data retrieval speeds. Connection errors often occur when queries include unsupported filters or endpoints, while slow retrieval speeds usually stem from pulling overly large datasets. To optimize performance, filter and refine the data directly within the API query to ensure Power BI is collecting only what's essential. For instance, if you're monitoring teams within specific departments, include filters for department IDs in the API call itself rather than waiting to manage filtering later in Power Query. This approach not only improves speed but also reduces complexity in future steps. Another tool for improving performance is incremental data refresh. Instead of refreshing the entire dataset each time you update your dashboard, incremental refresh allows you to update only the sections of data that have changed, like team activity from the last day or week. This keeps your dashboard responsive without overwhelming your system, especially in organizations with a high volume of Teams activity. Configuring incremental refresh in Power BI helps you maintain real-time metrics without sacrificing efficiency. When your data is properly cleaned and transformed in Power Query, it's time to close and load it into Power BI for visualization. As your dataset imports, you'll notice that all the preparation work you completed now pays off. Your fields are clean, streamlined, and ready to be used in visualizations. This is the moment where your dashboard truly begins taking shape. You can now define governance metrics and map them to visual components. For example, Create bar charts that display the number of active versus inactive teams, or use line charts to track guest activity trends over time. Some of the most critical governance metrics you can track include guest access activity, inactive or abandoned teams, compliance-related notifications, or data sharing activity across departments. Guest access reports, for instance, allow you to keep an eye on teams with external members. Combine this data with department groupings, and you can quickly identify external sharing patterns that don't align with compliance policies. Another example involves using slicers to isolate teams within specific business units while monitoring whether data classifications align with organizational standards. These insights help decision makers pinpoint risks and act proactively. End users interacting with the dashboard will appreciate the real-time nature of the insights. As Microsoft Graph API ensures that the data it returns is frequently updated, your Power BI dashboard becomes a living resource that teams can trust. This real-time monitoring ability is particularly beneficial for governance activities like identifying newly created teams that don't follow naming conventions or spotting sudden spikes in guest user activity. It gives you the ability to act on risks before they escalate. Connecting your team's data to Power BI transforms how you monitor and manage your Microsoft Teams environment. With a direct, secure connection powered by Graph API and seamless data preparation in Power Query, the foundation for your governance dashboard is now set. From here, your focus will shift to the next phase: crafting meaningful, impactful visualizations that convey key governance metrics in an intuitive way. Effective visual design ensures that the data you worked so carefully to prepare will be easy to interpret and actionable for every stakeholder who interacts with your dashboard. Stay tuned, as we'll now dive into the best practices for creating visualizations that bring your data to life. Visualizing governance metrics that matter. What if you could turn raw data into insights at a glance? That's the power of visualizing governance metrics in Power BI. While collecting and cleaning your data is critical, it's the visualizations that make your governance dashboard truly useful. They allow you to present complex information in a way that's intuitive, actionable, and easy to understand. Here, we'll walk through why meaningful visualizations matter, how to choose the right visuals for your data, and specific examples you can use in your own team's governance dashboard. When it comes to governance metrics, visualizations play a dual role. First, they summarize large datasets at a glance, so stakeholders can instantly spot trends, risks, or inefficiencies. Second, they make data actionable by highlighting areas that need attention. For example, a bar chart showing the number of inactive teams versus active ones can prompt an IT team to start archiving unused teams. An effective dashboard prioritizes clarity without overwhelming the user, and this balance starts with choosing the right visuals for the data you're working with. One of the biggest challenges is selecting visualizations that properly represent your governance metrics. Different types of visuals serve different purposes, and using the wrong one can make your data confusing. For instance, pie charts are popular but not ideal for metrics that require comparisons over time. In a governance dashboard, a pie chart might work well for showing the proportion of teams with guest access enabled versus those without, but it would fall short if you're trying to track how guest access changes month over month. Understanding these nuances makes the difference between a dashboard that's intuitive and one that's ineffective. Let's start with a classic example: bar charts. Bar charts are an excellent choice for tracking governance metrics like team activity. For instance, a bar chart can show the number of active versus inactive teams within your organization, using color coding to make the differences clearly visible. For example, inactive teams could appear gray, while active teams are blue. This instant visual cue lets stakeholders focus on problem areas without the need to analyze rows of raw data. Bar charts also work well for comparing activity across departments, helping you spot trends like which teams are collaborating the most or where activity is declining. Next, consider KPI, Key Performance Indicator cards. These are essential for providing at-a-glance insights into critical metrics such as compliance rates or guest access policies. A KPI card for compliance, for example, could display the percentage of teams that meet your organization's security requirements, alongside a small trend line that indicates whether this rate is improving or declining over time. This combination of a single data point with a quick visual context is what makes KPI cards effective. When you're managing governance, it's important to prioritize metrics that directly highlight organizational health, and KPI cards keep these metrics front and center. For slightly more advanced visualizations, you might explore bullet charts. A bullet chart is ideal for tracking performance against a target. Imagine you're monitoring the percentage of teams that have applied sensitivity labels. These labels help you classify and secure sensitive data. In a bullet chart, you could set your benchmark at, say, 90% and compare that to your current compliance rate. The chart uses a horizontal bar format to show progress toward the goal, along with color-coded thresholds for context. If your organization is falling behind on sensitivity label compliance, the bullet chart makes this immediately obvious, giving IT administrators a clear signal to take action. Dual KPIs are another advanced option. These allow you to compare two metrics over time and see how they relate to each other. For example, you could compare the number of active teams alongside the number of teams with guest access enabled. By displaying both metrics in one visual, dual KPIs help you spot correlations. Perhaps you notice that as guest access increases, fewer teams remain inactive. Or conversely, you might find a security issue, higher guest access levels in teams that are relatively unmonitored or stagnant. These insights allow you to identify risks, measure governance efforts, and prioritize improvements. Another visualization option to consider is scatter plots. Although less commonly used, scatter plots are useful for identifying relationships and trends in large, complex datasets. In a Microsoft Teams governance dashboard, you might use a scatter plot to analyze team size, number of members, versus activity level, number of messages or file uploads. This visualization could highlight outliers such as very large teams with low activity, which often indicates misused or abandoned workspaces. Spotting these outliers quickly allows you to follow up and implement any necessary cleanup measures. Pie charts also have a place in your dashboard, though they work best for showing proportions rather than trends. A good example would be visualizing the percentage of teams with guest access enabled out of the total number of teams. This metric is critical for governance because external users increase the risk of data exposure or compliance violations. When paired with color coding, such as green for internal-only teams and orange for teams with guest access, pie charts clearly communicate risk levels. Now let's take a look at how these visuals become more powerful when interactive elements are added. Power BI includes features like filters, slicers, and drill downs, which allow users to customize their view of the dashboard dynamically. Filters and slicers, for example, let you isolate specific subsets of data, like focusing on a single department, time period, or group of teams. By placing slicers right next to key visuals, you make it easier for dashboard users to filter the data they need without distraction. For instance, if someone wants to analyze inactive teams for a specific department, they can use slicers to instantly narrow the view. Drill-down features add another layer of usability by enabling users to move from high-level summaries into detailed data with a simple click. Let's say your dashboard includes a bar chart showing guest activity per department. By clicking on the finance department's bar, for example, users can drill down to a more detailed view of teams within that department, showing which teams have the most external members or the highest file sharing activity. This deeper layer of analysis helps stakeholders understand not just what's happening, but why it's happening. Interactive features also enhance usability in real-time monitoring scenarios. For example, say you've implemented a dashboard alert for teams with a high number of guests. Using slicers alongside the alert, someone monitoring the dashboard can quickly drill into those teams to understand whether sensitive documents are being shared or if activity levels look suspicious. This type of usability ensures the dashboard doesn't just display information, but actively supports decision-making. Creating a governance dashboard is not just about selecting powerful visuals. It's about making those visuals work together cohesively. For example, pairing bar charts and KPI cards can strike a balance between detailed summaries and quick metrics. While the bar chart might provide trend data on activity levels, the KPI card delivers a compliance snapshot that leadership can quickly interpret. Similarly, combining slicers with advanced visuals like bullet charts lets users drill into areas of underperformance, in this case, teams that haven't yet met security benchmarks, and analyze the root causes. Combining visuals thoughtfully leads to actionable insights. For example, Imagine a dashboard where a pie chart reveals that 30% of teams have guest access. Right below the pie chart, a bullet chart could show that only 60% of these teams meet security benchmarks. A user can instantly see the extent of guest access usage and understand the proportion of those teams that are secured. The combination of visuals keeps the focus clear while encouraging the user to explore the data further. Finally, we can't overlook how visual choices impact decision-making. The way you present governance data directly influences how easily other stakeholders can act on it. Visualizations that are cluttered, poorly labeled, or unnecessarily complex deter users from engaging with the dashboard. Conversely, clean and focused visuals encourage users to explore the data, gain deeper insights, and take faster action. Effective visuals guide the user effortlessly from high-level overviews to the detailed information they need. When governance visuals are clear, interactive, and well-aligned with stakeholder needs, they don't just represent data. They create a dialogue between the user and the system. They simplify the complexity of managing Microsoft Teams at scale, making risks, opportunities, and inefficiencies visible and actionable. In the next section, we'll look at how to push interactivity even further with elements like real-time alerts and dynamic slicing. These features ensure your dashboard doesn't just provide insights passively, it actively helps you manage Teams governance by highlighting potential issues before they escalate. Let's keep building. Making your dashboard interactive and alert-ready. What if your dashboard could warn you about potential risks before they escalate? With Power BI's interactivity features like filters, slicers, and alerts, you can create a governance dashboard that's not just informative but also proactive. These tools help you focus on the data that matters most, allowing you and your team to respond to compliance concerns, identify risks, and make decisions faster. Let's take a closer look at how these features enhance your dashboard, the challenges they address, and how to add them step by step. Filters and slicers are key to making your dashboard dynamic. They allow users to interact with data directly, narrowing down large data sets to specific subsets that are more relevant to their needs. For example, say you're tracking team activity for an organization with multiple departments. Using a slicer in Power BI, you can filter the dashboard view to show activity only for a specific department like HR or marketing. This flexibility ensures that decision makers don't have to sift through irrelevant information to find what they're looking for. It also means that multiple users across the organization can tailor the dashboard to their individual needs without altering the underlying data. To add a slicer, start by selecting your visual on the Power BI canvas. Under the Visualizations pane, choose the slicer option, then define the field you want to filter by. For example, department, region, or compliance status. Once the slicer is added, users will see an interactive drop-down or checkbox list that allows them to quickly filter the data. It's important here to focus on user experience. Keep the slicer options simple and easy to follow. For instance, if you're slicing by department, don't clutter the drop-down list with overly technical names like Debt HR 2023 Q2. Stick with clean labels like Human Resources or Finance. You can also use report-level or page-level filters to streamline the dashboard for specific audiences. For example, while IT admins might want to see all data across the organization, team leads may only be interested in tracking activity and compliance within their specific teams. Filters at the report or page level make this possible without overwhelming users with too many visible slices, ensuring the dashboard remains efficient and easy to use. To optimize the usability of your Power BI dashboard, it's essential to implement best practices for filters and slicers. This includes using a wide range of filters to cover various categories such as regions or departments, ensuring that users can tailor the dashboard to their specific needs and quickly find the data they require. With properly designed filters and slicers, you're setting a foundation for smoother decision-making. But what happens when a dashboard user doesn't have time to actively check metrics every day? This is where Power BI alerts make a huge difference. Alerts are designed to notify users when certain conditions are met, helping you stay informed of potential risks or issues in real time. For governance, alerts can be critical in monitoring things like guest access, compliance violations, or inactive teams. For example, you could configure an alert that triggers when the percentage of teams with guest access exceeds 25%, By receiving a notification as soon as the threshold is crossed, your team can take immediate action before risks escalate. Configuring alerts in Power BI begins with defining thresholds for the metrics you want to track. Start by identifying which metrics are most critical for governance. This could include inactive teams, guest access activity, or compliance adherence levels. Once you've decided on the metric, ensure the visual displaying it is set as a card or KPI. Alerts are only available for certain visual types. From there, go to the Power BI service, click on the visual, and select Manage Alerts. You'll be prompted to set the threshold, such as greater than 25%, and specify how you want to be notified. You can enable email notifications and even set the alert to trigger daily or only once when the condition is met. Alerts aren't just helpful for staying informed, they also encourage action. For instance, if you receive an alert about a spike in guest access, you can use filters and slicers on the dashboard to drill down and address the issue. To effectively implement alerts in your Power BI dashboard, you must first define thresholds for key metrics that require monitoring, such as the number of inactive teams or compliance violations. Alerts provide a layer of automation to your governance strategy, ensuring that you don't miss critical developments even when you're not actively monitoring the dashboard. Another feature that enhances interactivity is the drill down capability. Drill downs allow users to move from a high-level metric to more detailed data layers, helping them better understand the context behind the numbers. Imagine your dashboard shows a bar chart of active teams across different departments. With drill down enabled, users can click on the bar for the finance department and see individual teams within finance, including their activity levels, external sharing trends, or whether they are compliant with internal policies. This interactive exploration makes it easier to identify specific issues like an inactive team with an unusually high number of external guests. Adding drill down functionality is straightforward. Start by structuring your data into a hierarchy, for example, department, team, and member activity, and ensure that your visuals, like bar or pie charts, support hierarchical exploration. In Power BI, use the Fields pane to drag and drop fields into a visuals hierarchy. Then enable drill down for the visual using the header toolbar. Users will be able to click on any category in the visual and drill further into its subcategories. To make this experience seamless, provide clear labels or buttons indicating that drill down functionality is available. Tooltips and annotations can also deepen the effectiveness of your drill down visuals. When users hover over a specific data point, they can see additional context in a tooltip, such as the last time a team was active or its percentage of sensitive files shared externally. Provide tooltips or annotations to explain the significance of drilled down data, helping users understand the context behind the numbers and make informed decisions. This minimizes any confusion and ensures decisions are based on clear, actionable insights. Dynamic controls like filters, slicers, and drill downs create a dashboard that invites users to engage directly with the data and extract relevant insights. Combined with alerts, these tools help governance teams stay proactive instead of reactive. For example, if a compliance officer receives an alert about excess guest access in a specific department, they can use slicers to filter the dashboard by department, drill down further into individual teams, and take immediate steps to revoke unnecessary permissions or enforce data sharing policies. It's not only about preventing problems, it's also about empowering better data-driven decisions. By enabling functionality like drill downs and slicers, you make it easy for users to identify trends and spot anomalies. Say you're monitoring inactive teams to reduce clutter in your organization. A slicer could allow you to isolate teams inactive for 3 months or more, while a drill down lets you view specific teams within that time range, grouped by their department or owner. Without interactivity, this level of data exploration would require manually filtering tables or generating multiple static reports, a far less efficient solution. These interactivity features also enhance transparency. With filters and slicers, users across departments can adjust the view to meet their needs. IT administrators can focus on compliance reporting, while department heads may look at activity trends across their teams. This versatility means that a single Power BI dashboard can serve multiple functions for different stakeholders, making governance data accessible and actionable across the organization. Finally, alerts and interactivity boost accountability. By highlighting key governance issues as they arise and giving users the tools to explore them further, you ensure that no risk is ignored. For instance, alerts tied to compliance violations can prompt immediate follow-ups with impacted teams, while drill downs provide the granularity needed to investigate root causes. This level of responsiveness demonstrates a commitment to not only identifying governance problems but solving them quickly. A thoughtfully designed interactive dashboard doesn't just display information, it transforms how users interact with governance data. Filters and slicers simplify exploration, drill downs enable deeper insights, and alerts ensure you stay ahead of critical risks. Together, these features create a dashboard that's not only a management tool but also an active participant in your governance strategy. With your interactive features in place, the next step is ensuring that your dashboard is accessible and easy to share. After all, a great dashboard loses its impact if it can't reach the right audience. In the next section, we'll cover how to publish your dashboard in the Power BI service, set up role-based permissions, and share it securely with your team. This final step ensures that your governance insights are not only impactful, but also collaborative. Let's move on. Publishing and sharing your dashboard. What's the use of a great dashboard if no one can see it? Building a Microsoft Teams governance dashboard is only half the battle. To make it impactful, you need to publish and share it with the right people so they can access insights, take action, and collaborate effectively. The Power BI service is where your dashboard comes to life as a shared resource within your organization. Let's break down how to publish your dashboard, set up secure access controls, and share it with your team while avoiding common pitfalls. The process starts with publishing your dashboard to the Power BI service. Before you begin, save your work in Power BI Desktop with a clear and descriptive file name. Avoid generic names like Dashboard 1. Instead, use something specific like Teams Governance Insights. So it's easy to identify later, especially when managing multiple versions or updating the dashboard in the future. Saving it properly ensures you don't lose your work and makes the next steps organized. Open Power BI Desktop and sign in using your organizational account. It's crucial that your account has the appropriate permissions to publish dashboards within your company's Microsoft environment. These permissions are typically set up by an IT admin. If you're unsure, confirm with your admin team that your account has rights to access workspaces and the Power BI service. Without these rights, your publishing process may hit a roadblock before it even begins. Once signed in, locate the Publish button in the top ribbon of Power BI Desktop. Clicking this will initiate the upload of your dashboard to the Power BI service. At this point, you'll be prompted to select a workspace. In Power BI, workspaces are containers where you store and manage dashboards, datasets, and reports. Selecting the right workspace is important for keeping your governance dashboard organized and accessible. If your organization already has a dedicated workspace for IT or governance, select this option. Otherwise, consider creating a dedicated workspace named Governance Dashboards to separate and secure these reports from unrelated ones. Keeping governance dashboards in their own space reduces the risk of accidental edits or exposure to unintended users. After selecting the workspace and publishing the dashboard, navigate to the Power BI service by going to app.powerbi.com. Once inside the service, locate the workspace you selected and verify that the dashboard appears as expected. Open the dashboard to test its visuals, filters, and interactivity. This step ensures the dashboard functions correctly and that no elements like data sources or visuals were lost during the upload process. If any issues arise, return to Power BI Desktop, make the necessary corrections, and republish. Verification is an important step because an incomplete or malfunctioning dashboard can lead to confusion or errors when shared with your team. Sharing your dashboard effectively is the next critical step. Power BI provides several sharing methods to fit different organizational needs. If you're sharing the dashboard with specific individuals or a small group, the simplest way is to use the Share button within the Power BI service. By clicking Share on the dashboard, you can enter the email addresses of the users you want to share it with. Power BI will send an email to the recipients with a link to the dashboard. When sharing this way, you can specify whether users have view-only access or can edit the dashboard. For most governance scenarios, it's best to allow only view access unless recipients are also responsible for maintaining or adjusting the dashboard. Another effective option is to embed the dashboard directly into Microsoft Teams. Many organizations already use Teams as their collaboration hub, so Placing governance insights directly where people work makes it easier for them to access and act on the data. To do this, navigate to the channel where you want to embed the dashboard. Click plus at the top of the channel to add a new tab, select the PowerBI app, and search for the published dashboard. Once embedded, the dashboard becomes part of your ongoing discussions and remains visible for team reviews without needing to switch between platforms. Embedding in Teams is particularly useful for governance teams that need to monitor the dashboard regularly or during meetings where decisions are made. For organizations with broader sharing needs, you can generate a shareable link within the Power BI service. This option is ideal when you want to distribute the dashboard to a larger audience, perhaps multiple departments or roles involved in governance. However, exercise caution when using this approach. Set sharing permissions properly to ensure sensitive data isn't accidentally exposed. For example, you can configure the link to allow view-only access and restrict it to authenticated users within your organization. Avoid enabling link sharing to external users unless it's absolutely necessary and approved by your IT policy. It's also worth exploring role-based permissions to maintain security without limiting collaboration. Not everyone in your organization needs access to the same level of detail. Power BI makes it easy to assign roles that determine what data and features each user can access on the dashboard. For instance, a compliance officer might require access to detailed metrics about external file sharing, while a department head may only need summary data for their teams. Role-based permissions create a tailored dashboard experience while protecting sensitive information. To assign roles, navigate to the workspace where your dashboard is stored, click on Access, and specify roles for each user or group. Options range from admin for those managing the dashboard to member or contributor roles for users who need editing rights, or viewer for those who only need read access. Collaboration on sensitive data requires a balance between accessibility and security. For dashboards containing metrics on guest access, compliance violations, or sensitive file sharing, restrict access to those who are directly involved in governance. Broader metrics like general team activity can be shared with wider audiences like department leaders or executives. When sensitive data is involved, consider incorporating Power BI's data protection tools such as sensitivity labels or row-level security, RLS. Sensitivity labels allow you to classify your dashboard as restricted or confidential, ensuring that only authorized users can access it. Row-level security provides even more granularity, allowing you to control which rows of data-specific users can view. For example, users from the HR department can only see data related to HR teams, while finance leaders can access data relevant to their area. While publishing and sharing the dashboard is essential, it's equally important to keep it updated. Your Microsoft Teams environment is dynamic. New teams are created, policies change, and compliance requirements evolve. A dashboard that reflects outdated data loses its value quickly. As part of your publishing and sharing process, establish a plan to refresh the data regularly. In Power BI, you can configure scheduled refreshes based on your organization's needs. If your team's data is updated daily, set the dashboard to refresh once a day to reflect the latest metrics. For time-critical insights, consider near real-time refresh intervals, but only if your infrastructure can support it. Transparency about updates is also important when working with stakeholders. If you're refreshing the dashboard weekly or monthly, communicate these schedules to users so they understand when to expect the latest insights. This creates consistency and ensures everyone is aligned when data-driven decisions are made. Publishing and sharing your Microsoft Teams governance dashboard ensures it becomes a collaborative tool that supports decision-making across your organization. By uploading it to the Power BI service, configuring role-based permissions, and embedding it in tools like Microsoft Teams, the dashboard becomes accessible to everyone who needs it while maintaining the security required for sensitive data. With the ability to customize sharing methods from direct links to workspace-controlled access, you can meet the unique governance needs of your organization. The work doesn't stop once the dashboard is published. Dashboards must evolve to stay relevant as your organization's Teams environment grows. In the next section, we'll explore strategies for maintaining and updating your dashboard to ensure it keeps delivering value over time. By adapting to changes and refining your insights, your dashboard will remain an indispensable tool for managing Teams governance. Let's move forward. Keeping your dashboard relevant and evolving. How do you ensure your dashboard remains relevant as your organization grows? That's a critical question for teams building governance dashboards because the Microsoft Teams environment isn't static. It's constantly changing. As new teams are created, compliance policies evolve, and governance goals shift, your dashboard must keep pace to remain effective. Without regular updates to data sources, metrics, and overall design, your dashboard risks becoming outdated. Outdated dashboards lead to poor decisions and prevent organizations from spotting risks or harnessing new opportunities. Let's take a closer look at how you can keep your dashboard relevant and aligned with your organization's needs over time. At the core of maintaining a useful governance dashboard is regularly updating your data sources. One of the most important steps you can take is scheduling routine data refreshes. Outdated data may no longer reflect your current Microsoft Teams environment and can mislead stakeholders, causing delays in addressing compliance violations, unmanaged guest access, or team sprawl. For example, a dashboard that doesn't refresh to reflect inactive teams could lead IT administrators to miss opportunities for cleanup, and unmanaged data sharing might persist where risks haven't been flagged. PowerBI's automated refresh functionality is essential for addressing this problem. By configuring scheduled data updates, you ensure that your dashboard always reflects current metrics. For most organizations, weekly or monthly refresh schedules strike the right balance between timeliness and system performance. If your governance strategy depends heavily on near real-time insights, such as regularly monitoring guest access thresholds, more frequent refreshes might be necessary. Power BI allows for incremental refreshes, which retrieve only updated or new data instead of reloading the entire dataset. This feature is useful for large teams environments where reloading all data could create bottlenecks or slow down other processes. To configure incremental refresh, specify parameters such as the retention time window or update frequency during setup. Organizations should establish a schedule for refreshing data sources, with weekly or monthly updates being a recommended practice to keep metrics current and provide the most up-to-date view of the team's environment. Whether updates happen daily, weekly, or monthly depends on your use case, but the key takeaway is that without updates, your dashboard will stagnate and its value will erode. Updating data sources is only part of the process. It's equally important to regularly review the metrics displayed on your dashboard to ensure they align with your governance goals. Over time, some metrics may lose relevance, while emerging priorities demand new ones. For example, if your organization implements stricter compliance policies, you may need to begin tracking additional metrics related to sensitivity labels or external file sharing activity. Conversely, metrics no longer tied to active policies can be removed to reduce clutter and keep the dashboard focused. Periodic review of the metrics displayed is essential, allowing for the removal of irrelevant metrics and the addition of new ones that align with evolving governance goals and organizational priorities. Set a quarterly or biannual review schedule to assess whether the metrics on your dashboard still support your objectives. Looking at real-world examples can show how adaptive dashboards can impact governance success. Some organizations, after rolling out governance dashboards, found that their initial focus on activity metrics, like message volume, needed to shift over time toward compliance-related metrics, such as external users or data classification policies. One company introduced new security protocols and adjusted its Power BI dashboard to track implementation progress. Another organization discovered the need to monitor document sensitivity labels more closely as Teams usage spread across international operations, aligning the dashboard with its updated regulatory requirements. These examples emphasize the importance of being proactive in adjusting dashboards to meet changing organizational and regulatory needs. Monitoring dashboard performance is another important step in keeping your tool relevant. A slow or unresponsive dashboard can frustrate users and reduce engagement, even if the metrics themselves are accurate and well curated. Regularly review performance metrics like data load times, refresh rates, and responsiveness. Power BI's Performance Analyzer is a helpful tool for identifying bottlenecks in your reports. It allows you to measure how fast your visuals load and highlights any calculations or queries, slowing them down. For example, inefficient DAX measures or bloated datasets may lead to longer load times on visuals tracking team activity or compliance percentages. Resolving these performance issues ensures your dashboard delivers insights without delay. User feedback also plays a vital role in keeping your dashboard relevant and user-friendly. Surveys or feedback forms allow stakeholders to share their experiences, providing insights into what aspects of the dashboard work well and which areas need improvement. Collecting feedback through surveys or interviews provides valuable insights into usability, visual design, and data relevance, ensuring the dashboard remains user-friendly and effective for the target audience. For instance, you might find that users struggle to navigate certain interactivity features like slicers or drill downs. Alternatively, they may suggest adding additional summary visuals for quick decision-making. Incorporate actionable feedback into your updates to improve the dashboard's usability and alignment with user expectations. Another consideration is how governance requirements evolve alongside external changes in regulation or technology. As legal and regulatory frameworks change, the metrics and features in your dashboard must adapt to stay compliant. For example, if your organization operates in regions that tighten data privacy laws, such as GDPR updates, your dashboard might need to incorporate new compliance metrics or highlight additional risks. Staying informed about industry trends ensures the dashboard remains a valuable governance tool regardless of external changes. Governance requirements evolve as organizations grow and external regulations change, necessitating that the dashboard adapts to these shifts to remain a valuable tool for managing the team's environment. To prepare for these kinds of changes, consider designing your dashboard with scalability in mind. Modular layouts and scalable data sources simplify future modifications. For instance, creating visual sections dedicated to compliance, activity, and lifecycle management allows you to replace or add specific parts without redesigning the entire dashboard. Similarly, structuring your datasets to accommodate scalable updates, such as adding new metrics or categories, reduces the effort required to realign the dashboard with organizational needs. Automation also plays a big role in maintaining your dashboard's relevance without adding manual effort. Automating lifecycle management processes in Microsoft Teams ensures governance doesn't rely purely on human oversight. Automating approval workflows and lifecycle management within Microsoft Teams streamlines processes and improves efficiency. For example, workflows in Power Automate can flag inactive teams directly and feed this insight into your dashboard, highlighting which teams need to be archived or deleted. Similarly, automated approval flows for new teams creation ensure only valid and necessary teams are added, helping reduce team sprawl. Disorganized or abandoned teams often contribute to governance challenges and inaccurate dashboard metrics. So, automating lifecycle steps is a proactive way to ensure data remains clean and accurate over time. Integrating training into the maintenance process is equally important. Educating users across the organization about dashboard updates ensures they understand new features or metrics. User training on governance practices is essential for fostering a culture of compliance and collaboration. Hosting workshops to explain dashboard updates, whether through online tutorials or interactive sessions, helps maintain user engagement and confidence in the tool. Allowing users to ask questions or test new features creates a cycle of feedback that supports continuous improvement. Finally, maintaining alignment between your governance dashboard and organizational objectives ensures long-term value. Schedule regular reviews of your governance framework and align its priorities with the metrics featured in your dashboard. For example, if your IT team sets a new goal to reduce inactive teams by 30% each quarter, adjust your dashboard to include visuals tracking this metric. Similarly, ensure data retention policies built into your governance efforts are accurately monitored and reflected. Regular reviews of governance policies ensure the Microsoft Teams environment aligns with organizational goals and regulatory requirements. By committing to regular updates, organizations ensure their governance framework remains robust and adaptable. These updates protect your investment, keeping the dashboard not only operational but also impactful. Maintaining your dashboard as your team's environment grows requires a consistent focus on updates, user needs, and alignment with governance goals. Scheduling data refreshes, revising metrics, and automating lifecycle tasks keep your tool accurate and responsive. Monitoring dashboard performance and collecting user feedback addresses usability issues and helps identify new opportunities for improvement. Adapting to regulatory changes and scaling your dashboard for future needs ensures its long-lasting relevance. With regular updates, your dashboard becomes a living resource for decision-making, aligned with evolving priorities and equipped to handle changes in the Microsoft Teams environment. As you work to keep your governance dashboard effective, remember that neglecting updates or failing to align its insights with organizational priorities can leave teams vulnerable to risks, inefficiencies, or compliance failures. But with a proactive approach, your dashboard will remain not just a source of information, but a driver of strategic governance. In the next section, we'll summarize the value of a well-maintained dashboard and highlight how all the components tie together to transform your team's governance. This is where everything comes full circle, showing just how important your dashboard can be in creating a secure, efficient Teams environment at scale. Microsoft Teams Governance Dashboard can transform how organizations manage their Teams environment. By visualizing critical metrics like guest access, inactive teams, and compliance status, you gain actionable insights to maintain data security and improve productivity. This proactive approach empowers you to address risks before they escalate, fostering a secure and collaborative workspace. Creating a Microsoft Teams governance dashboard empowers you to monitor critical aspects of your team's environment, ensuring that your organization's data remains secure. Start building your dashboard today to stay ahead of governance challenges and drive better decisions. The possibilities for improved collaboration and control are within reach.